Hera's trial. For eons, mortals had known Hera as the Queen of Olympus, the wife of Zeus, the goddess of marriage and women. They whispered of her jealousy, of her wrath, but they did not know the full truth. They did not know the test she once faced when even the gods questioned her right to rule. This is the story they never told. It began with a betrayal, not from Zeus, as was so often the case, but from the gods themselves. One night, as the full moon casted silver light over Olympus, a gathering was called in secret. Poseidon, god of the seas, Athena, goddess of wisdom, Apollo, the shining son of the sun, even Hades, who seldom left his underworld throne, had come. They stood in the great hall of Olympus, their eyes set on the empty throne of the queen. She has ruled for too long, Poseidon murmured, his voice like crashing waves. She has grown bitter, harsh. Perhaps it's time for another one to take her place. Athena frowned. Hera is powerful, but has her power blinded her? Her heart is bound too tightly to vengeance. Can a queen truly rule with such anger in her soul? Apollo, ever the golden sun, sighed. We must test her. And so they devised a trial, a challenge to prove Hera's worth, to determine whether she deserved her throne, not through war, nor through divine might, but through something far more dangerous: sacrifice. They did not tell her of their meeting. They did not warn her of what was to come. Instead, they sent a vision, a whisper in the wind, carried to her as she stood alone in her temple watching the mortal world below. A kingdom had fallen. A great city once devoted to her name had been burned to ruin by Ares and his reckless thirst for battle. Women and children had been taken, their fates sealed by warlords who did not fear the gods. Hera felt the fury rise within her. She had sworn to protect the sacred bond of marriage, the sanctity of home and family, and now, before her very eyes, it had been torn apart. She would not stand for it. She descended upon the mortal world in a storm of peacock feathers and divine wrath. With every step, the earth trembled. She found the ruins of the city, the broken altars that had once borne her name, and beyond them, in chains, the woman who had called upon her in prayer. A warlord stood before them, a man who had never feared the gods. The Queen of Olympus comes to me, he sneered, and what will she do? Throw lightning like her husband? Hera did not flinch. I do not need Zeus's power to bring justice, she said. She raised her hand, and the air itself thickened, bending to her will. The warlord and his men clutched their throats as the weights of the heavens pressed down upon them. Not death, no, that would have been too simple. Instead, she granted them a fate far worse. She stripped them of their names, their power, their very presence in the minds of men. No bard would sing of them. No scribe would write their stories. They would wander the earth as ghosts, forgotten, erased from history itself. For there was no punishment greater than to be unremembered. The moment they vanished, the chains fell from the women's wrists. Hera turned to them, her voice no longer wrathful but warm. You are free, she said. Go home, build anew, and know that the Queen of Olympus has not forsaken you. But as the last woman stepped away, Hera felt something shift. The gods had been watching. A portal torn open in the sky, and from it Olympus called her back. She ascended, only to find herself before the council of gods. They stared at her in silence, some with admiration, others with judgment. Poseidon was the first to speak. You did not use force alone. Athena nodded. You did not seek revenge, you sought justice. Apollo studied her. He did not do it for power. He did it because it was right. Then Hades, ever the quiet observer, stepped forward. And yet, in choosing to erase them from history, you have made them suffer more than even I could have. He met her gaze. You are more powerful than any of us imagined. Zeus, who had been silent until then, finally spoke. You have been tested. He looked upon his wife not as a consort, not as a rival, but as a force all her own. And you have proven that Olympus does not stand without its queen. Hera did not thank them. She did not need their approval. She simply turned, sat upon her throne, and let them understand what they had always failed to see, that she was not merely the wife of Zeus. She was Hera, Queen of Olympus, and her rule was absolute.